Well, good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Denver Bronco Roundup podcast, brought to you by Rocky Mountain Sports Network, sponsored by the amazing Morgan Trinkets. Man, I know that we're a little bit late. I know that we're always fighting that. But that being said, tonight, it just felt like I hadn't seen these guys in so long. We usually have that Sunday post-game show. We didn't have that Sunday post-game show. We only did our Tuesday. We only did our Friday. Seems like it's been forever since I've seen this guy, so I'm going to start off. By the way, my name's Keith Brugman. I'll be your host this evening, but I'm going to start off saying good evening to Mr. Albert Mile High Dutchie. Welcome in, Albert.
Hey, it's a good evening again. Guess what? We are in the positives. 4-3. But that's good, and it's going to get only better. I think Bo Nix is going to set some franchise record for this Broncos team.
Very good. For the game?
For the season. For the season. Even if he wins one more game, he is the rookie with the most wins.
Ah, gotcha. A record, not like multiple records. I'm thinking like, oh my goodness, he's going to set the all-time passing yard record for a quarterback in a Denver Broncos season. He's got some uphill work to do if he's going to get that done, man. So Ernie Mays is coming in and saying, go Broncos country only. Man, good to see you. Patrick Wiltsey coming in making promises over on YouTube before we even go live. He says, if the Broncos make the playoffs, coffee for all, man. And Scott's saying, oh, yum. And he's right. Oh, yum. Check out some Lion coffee today, man. I'm telling you what, there's not enough vanilla macadamia nut to make the world go around. I can tell you that right now. Go get yourself a cup of that, man. You'll thank me, thank the world for making that wonderful product, and thank Lion Coffee as well. But I got to say hello to Trevor. He always comes in like he's juiced up on some coffee. The Rocket Man himself. How you doing this evening, Trevor?
Yeah, Lion Coffee definitely takes care of me as well, and I agree with you, Keith. The vanilla macadamia nut is definitely the greatest out there. So again, go support Lion Coffee. They're amazing, and what Patrick has going over there is fantastic. So thank you, Patrick, for everything you do for us. But yeah, no, again, it's another great Tuesday night. It was a little weird not doing a post-game show on a Sunday, but the Broncos have time to prepare, and maybe we'll see opposing quarterback change a little bit. Andy Dalton kind of, if anybody heard today, Andy Dalton unfortunately got in a little bit of an accident with his family today. Hopefully, our thoughts and prayers are with him and his family. Of course, life comes first before any sport. So we shall see if we see Bryce Young or not, or if it's going to be Andy Dalton. But we're here for it, ready for it, and go Broncos, and let's break down.
Yeah. We can break down a little bit of Carolina Panthers here in a little bit, man. But, this mini bye, having a little bit of extra time, knowing that we're going to be breaking down this Carolina Panthers team, I got to get into some big questions here. But, I say that. And Patrick Wiltsey is coming in with some questions right off the bat. Maybe we'll hit this, man. Any dream trades on your radar? Patrick Wiltsey all the way in from Hawaii. He's wanting to know, is there a dream trade that you would like to bring to this Denver Broncos team? Trevor, I know that you've been maybe the naysayer. We need to stay put. But if you could bring in, hey, that guy, this guy, that would mean something. Who would that be, buddy?
I think it would be David Njoku. I think he's the only one right now for me that makes the most sense. I mean, Mark Cooper and Devontae Adams have already been moved. I don't know. I mean, other than Hopkins from Tennessee and this Cooper Cup, but those two guys don't really intrigue me as much. And I think this Broncos wide receiver room is more talented than what it's being kind of presented right now with how up and down Bo Nix has been. So for me, it would be David Njoku if I had to target anybody. I think that would add another weapon to this Denver Broncos offense, and a guy that you'd probably want to stick around for the long haul. You're not really trading for a rental, I don't think, right now. So if this team is making a trade, I think you're making a trade for a guy that's going to stick around long term. And I think with Njoku, you can renegotiate a contract, keep him around long term, and for the right price, I would certainly be interested. I'm not so sure though. I want to be giving away draft picks because we all know how that goes when it comes to this Denver Broncos team lately. So definitely shopping for a tight end. I think I agree with that. I think the Joker would be a great ad for Bo Nix in this offense, not only just for this season, but for going forward.
There you go, man. Tight end on the minds of many. Clayton's coming in here and saying tight end, as you were talking about David Njoku. Also saying, hey, guys, smash that like and share button. Thank you always for reminding me, Clayton, because I don't say that enough. We appreciate all the shares, all the likes, all the love that you give us, and that love has been returned in a lot of Broncos fans tuning in and listening to us for all our podcasts. We appreciate you guys a ton. Albert, you'd love if we went out and traded for this guy. It might be a pipe dream, but you'd love to be able to go ahead and get this guy. Who would it be?
I think, Trevor, you're not dreaming big enough. For me, it would be Brock Bowers as a tight end. But why not Justin Jefferson? Or the pain in the butt on the Raiders defense? You know who I'm talking about.
Yeah, Max Crosby, baby.
Mm-hmm.
So why not those? If we are dreaming, then let's dream a little bit bigger and get those three.
I like it. I mean, don't get me wrong. First round draft pick last year, you haven't really had a chance. You'd be paying through the nose for a guy like that. But you start going down that list of guys you're talking about there, and I think you start getting into some tempting ideas there. I'm not going to dream that big, Albert. Maybe we all need to dream bigger, like Albert. Albert's been a big dreamer since the very beginning, since he's dreamed to come to America and join the Denver Bronco Roundup, man. It's been a fantastic dream of mine. I know that he's joined us. So my dream would also be in that tight end room. And I know a lot of people are like, hey, this team, they're still good. They're still relevant. But are they using their weapons? My guy would be Dalton Schultz. Tight end, again, but for the Houston Texans. And everyone's like, well, the Houston Texans. How about in the last game he had 1 reception for 28 yards, or 4 receptions for 27, or 4 for 37. He has a total of 19 receptions on the season. Not an overly used product for the Texans, and I think it would be a huge upgrade for the Denver Broncos. So appreciate you bringing the question. Very much, man. We're always about the posse and what they're bringing to the table. Like Michael Ronquillo coming in here saying, good evening, Keith, Trevor, Albert, rocking those orange and blue hearts, and giving us that mile-high salute, as always, man. Appreciate you very much, Michael. I'm trying to check because I'm always having a hard time checking to make sure that I'm keeping up on stars as well, man. So he usually drops some stars. I'm having a hard time keeping it up. For him, wide receiver Cooper Kupp was mentioned today for the Broncos, but is he injury prone, man? What would you think about that, Albert? Here's a guy that's been having a rough go of it the last few years, trying to stay on the field. But, man, I'll tell you what, when he's out there, he's productive. He came in the lineup last year with Puka Nacua and really lit it up for the Rams. Played really well right alongside him up until this injury. What would you think about a Cooper Kupp?
Let's see what we have first. I think we have a couple of wide receivers that are coming up, and if they get a little bit more playing time, I think they will get better and better. And I'm talking about Vele and of course Troy Franklin. We have some good pieces in the house, and if we are going to get a wide receiver from outside, then let's get one who is pretty reliable, because the only availability is
The best
when you're there.
availability is availability. Yeah, absolutely, man. Trevor, I don't know how you feel. It's just a guy that, again, I kind of am along those same lines. I'm kind of like what Clayton's saying here. Kind of just stay put. We don't want bandages, and we need guys that stick around for the long term. Those things don't necessarily line up with a Cooper Cup. What are your thoughts on a Cooper Cup? Would you be enticed at all?
Yeah, no, I don't. I wouldn't go near Cooper Cup again. No disrespect to what he did during their Super Bowl run with the Rams, but I think that he gets a little bit kind of overrated for what he's done. I mean, again, he's been injury prone. You cannot really afford that right now. If it was Cooper Cup for a 5th round draft pick, then you maybe consider, but the cap hit on him is pretty big. I just think I want to see what Troy Franklin, Marvin Mims, Devon Bailey, some of these other young wide receivers can do within this offense. I want to give them time. If we talk about giving Bo Nix time, I think you need to give some of these younger players, in particular the wide receiver room, more time to grow together and gain that chemistry with Bo Nix. And then in the offseason, we shall see what this next draft class comes up with, when it comes to wide receivers and tight ends. Maybe you attack it there or in free agency. But right now, I would say pass on Cooper Cup, the money being too big and just possibly the asking price. I just don't think it fits what the Broncos need right now. I don't think he fits in with the Broncos timeline right now as he's 31 years old. So, I'll pass on Cup right now.
Yeah, I think we're all in agreement. Graham's checking in. He says, "Hey guys, can't stay long as I'm watching that Avalanche game, but glad to check in. It's always good to see Graham. Appreciate you very much. Great supporter of the show. It kind of reminds me, the first person I got to say, I guess, check out the K&K Sports Show and everything they got going on over there. Guys like Kenny Kirkpatrick, who are also checking in, are on there quite often, giving you a bunch of sports knowledge. So he's saying Tuesday Night Titans of the podcast world. Good evening, fellas. Good evening, Kenny. You got to check out Kenny. You got to check out Kurt. You got Graham behind the sideline, on the sidelines in the background, doing great things. So check out K&K Sports Show, please. We appreciate you guys doing that and all the fans that they brought over here to the Denver Bronco Roundup as well. Jeremy Dressler, good friend of mine, saying, "Sup, fellas, and go Broncos." We're excited, man. We're excited for this Broncos team. Ernie Mays is saying we don't need any more we don't need any more players, and go Broncos. Phil McLaughlin checking in with stars, saying, "Good evening, Keith, Rocketman, Dutchie. What about Josh Allen and Khalil Shakir?" Laugh out loud. I think he's talking about, big dreaming ideas. Just bring Josh Allen in. We got to bring in him as a quarterback. Maybe bring in Patrick. I can't say that. No, not going to do that. Isaiah Likely, if we're dreaming, says Graham. I like that, man. That's a good one. That's a really good one, actually. Kenny's jumping in. He says, "Here's my take to be different. Get a stud middle linebacker, Pro Bowl caliber, because as good as Sternad and Barton have looked, I don't know if they will last all year." So he's looking at that inside linebacker position.
Micah Parsons.
Ooh, that would be dreaming big.
Yeah, it would be. That's an edge, though. So
it is, but he's played. Let's face it. He's played just about every single position over there.
Yeah,
he's been wreaking havoc as an edge, though. So
that's what you'd keep him probably, though. He
started as a linebacker.
Yeah, he started more inside. Heck, at one point they even had him in a 3-point stance, I believe. So, Graham's wondering, Trevor, maybe you can address this one. Why isn't Hunter Renfrow signed? Thoughts on that one?
Yeah, I don't know. I would just say right now the wide receiver rooms around the league are pretty deep. I'm not sure what Hunter Renfrow can really offer too much to a contending team. If you're rebuilding, you're really not or not in it right now. You're probably not signing him unless it's depth. So for me, I just think that teams like what they have with their depth. Also, keep in mind this past wide receiver class was pretty deep as well. So I think a lot of teams want to kind of go with the young wide receivers and see what they have first and foremost. Hunter Renfrow, you kind of know what you're getting with him.
Phil's dropping stars with something I know I feel pretty strongly about, and I know Trevor probably even feels even more strongly about. So, Dutchie, I want your thoughts on this one. Phil's coming in and says, I want draft picks so I get better from 2024 through 2026. Year-old stud for a trade. Otherwise, keep my picks. So he's all about keeping these picks, man, and not giving them away. He thinks we can really start to build in the coming years. What are your thoughts, buddy, around that?
So the only thing I would trade picks is if you're really sure you're gonna get into the playoffs. If you're gonna get in the playoffs, it might be wise and smart to trade a pick for a player that can get you there, because you will have him for maybe a couple of years, and then that one start for the trade might take you and get the rewards that you're really looking for. If you're really planning on going to the playoffs, then yeah, go for it. Go get the trade and get the player that you really need.
Trevor, I know that you're in tune with this. Do you know when the trade deadline is? The last date? Albert's with a big nod. When is it, Albert? You got it on the tip of your tongue?
November 11th, if I'm not mistaken.
I do believe that's true because they pushed it back because of an election year this year. That's one of the reasons we saw that kind of push back.
November 5th. November 5th.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
That's election day, man.
It says November 5th. So that's from what I know. But I'll double check and see.
All right, we should confirm all this information before we go on a live podcast, but that's all right. We weren't planning on necessarily talking about trades, but I'll say this, man. We don't have a whole lot of time. Regardless, we really would have to figure out where this team's at if we want to go ahead and do something like that. I mean, Hunter Renfrow not signed, that's a different story. Go ahead and get him at whatever time you want. You know what I mean? But if you're talking about, putting capital out there, putting draft picks out there, finding a way to bring a player to your roster because you think you're going to do it, man, you got to feel good about where your team's at, man. You got to feel really good about where your team's at least in my opinions.
It is.
Or it's got to be that, like Trevor, like you were kind of talking about, I don't want a 1-year rental. I want something that I can invest into for multiple years.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no. Just real quickly, I was going to say it is November 5th. On election day is a trade deadline, so
gotcha.
It's a little quicker than we thought. But I'm in complete agreement with everybody. I mean, you build through the draft, and then when you're ready to compete, then you're a little bit. It's a little bit easier to get rid of those picks when you're not, in that contention window. Right now, with Bo Nixon with this team right now, you kind of just still need to find out what you have. I think that's what, more importantly, you want to get to the playoffs this year, but you want to find out what you have on both sides of the ball. So because of what you don't have, you can address in the offseason and improve that. So I think that's where this team is right now. But again, the playoffs can definitely be, a possibility too. Don't give up on that either.
I don't think it's out of the realm of possibilities. I just don't know if you invest into it short term. Jeremy's saying we don't need any Band-Aids. We need to build through the draft. I would love to see us start to build through the draft. It's exciting to be in this position where you start even contemplating these ideas. We haven't been in this particular position. We've been in the sell position. Who should we get rid of before the trade deadline over the last couple of years, guys? That makes me jump right over to, now that we're 18, 19 minutes into into this podcast, maybe we'll get into a little bit of the agenda because I want to get the posse involved in this one. We're 7 games in. We're 4-3. By the way, I had right off to the side of me our win-loss predictions. Let's see. Through 7 games, Albert has us at 5-2. 5-2. Mr. Albert Knoppers with losses to Tampa Bay and the New York Jets is the only losses we had. Trevor, I don't know about this one, man. You had us 1, 2, 3, 4 losses. You had us at 3-4 at this time. Had us in the worst position at this point. Well, guess what? I had us at 4-3, baby. I'm right on mark, babe. I'm right on mark, man. I now, that being said, you probably almost could have switched all my losses to wins and wins to losses and had a better chance of getting it right because I wasn't necessarily perfect in that consideration. But the Broncos are at 4-3. They're second in the AFC West, man. They're right in the thick of it. And what I want to start to talk about and what I wanted to hear from the posse, I need nominations. I need nominations for those that are starting to play so far above and beyond what we expected. Those guys that have elevated themselves, especially when we started the beginning of the season. Think about in your mind where you're at the beginning of the season, where you thought this team would be, how they'd be playing, who would be out there, how they'd be playing, who is on offense. We'll start over on offensive side. Who is right now playing above where you expected? Albert, I'm going to give you the first name. Nominate him right now. Where is it at, buddy?
That would be Pookie. He is playing way better. Javonte Williams, he's playing way better than everybody expected. Everybody wanted to trade him to the Dallas Cowboys and that kind of stuff. But I think he's getting back in his rhythm again. And we have already seen a couple times that he can be like the Pookie that we saw when his initial as a rookie. And I think it's getting better and better with him. I really enjoy seeing Pookie.
Javonte had an amazing game versus the Saints, man. It's the first game I really felt like he started out there. He was trucking guys. He was shaking tackles. He was, getting extra yards. He was looking the best he possibly could. Looking for offensive guys who are playing above and beyond. Looking for those nominations. Albert went first and foremost, Mr. Javonte Williams. I'll get a few in from the posse. Got Mr. Ernie Mays is nominating one, Troy Franklin. You have Mr. Michael Ronquillo saying Mr. Left Guard Ben Powers. Trevor, it's your first nomination. Who are you putting up there as guy who's playing above where you expected when the season first started? Who's that guy?
Yeah, I would agree with Ernie. I think Troy Franklin, because I would say, when I said at the beginning of the season started, I said that Troy Franklin, I thought he'd be inactive for most of the season. I thought they were going to redshirt him for a season. He's coming out with Josh Reynolds being down. He's coming out and he's really showing a little bit of something. Again, it's hard to do when Bo Nix sometimes is missing him, and again. Troy Franklin's got to do a better job at catching the football. I know he's kind of struggled with that at times, and that's something that he struggled with in college. But I think it says something that he's getting the playing time that he's getting after all that kind of negative, stuff against him during training camp. While he doesn't look very good and whatnot, he came out, he's showing out what he's capable of doing. And again, I think it's important that he gets the playing time. Not just with Bo Nix, but just in this offense and starts to get comfortable going forward, because I think this is a pick that Denver did invest in, traded up into the fourth round for. This is a guy that I think, has shown out a little bit, but it's not easy to pick, a ton of guys that have shown out on this offense side of the ball. But Troy Franklin, for me, would be the guy that I think has exceeded my expectations a little bit.
Exceeding expectations. We've had a Javonte Williams from Mr. Albert Mile High Dutchie. Head over to Trevor. Who's Trevor liking? Trevor?
Troy Franklin.
And I love the way that you brought that up, that really we expected more of a red shirt year from Troy Franklin. We didn't know how much we'd see. So Troy Franklin going out there, being that guy, re-sparking that connection with one Bo Nix, and doing it now in the NFL. I think that's a good call out, buddy. I think that's a good call out as well. Matt Staffiero coming in saying, "What's up, gentlemen? Go Broncos!" Hey, just in here talking about some standouts for the Denver Broncos so far, and absolutely always go Broncos. So on the offensive side, I see some defensive nominations coming in already. I'm going to try to save those and keep those scrolling for when we get there. But on the offensive side, you guys have already taken a couple. I need to figure out one. I got to say this, man. Bo Nix has to have some consideration here. And I know he's not Jaden Daniels, And I know that even like a guy like Caleb Williams has come on as of late, looking really good. So some of these rookie quarterbacks are starting to put up some phenomenal numbers. But if you think about the situation the Bo Nix walks into, it's a situation that Russell Wilson couldn't handle. He's doing it as a rookie. He's trying to bring in this playbook. He's trying to become an NFL player. He's trying to become an NFL quarterback. He's doing it from the get. And I don't like to use this as an excuse, but he didn't get all the starts in training camp. There was a lot of things that were stacked against Bo Nix where, let's face it, gentlemen, there's been plenty of first-round quarterbacks have seen go out there and absolutely just fall flat on their face and sometimes never, ever, ever get up. Never get up. And Bo Nix has been out there. He's been playing his heart out. I've seen progression. I've seen some amazing plays. Sometimes it's using his feet. Sometimes it's using his arm, but there's something there, and he's doing it within a very difficult system, the Sean Payton system. Absolutely. Michael Ronquillo saying progress. Absolutely. Progress is what we're seeing through Bo Nix, and we'll continue to see. It's what the expectation is. Not a finished product. The cake isn't baked yet, but Bo Nix needs to have consideration, in my opinion, for a standout. Some guy who's standing out above and beyond maybe what I expected, especially in year one. So let's keep going back around the horn. I'm gonna flip it back around though. I'll go over to Trevor, man. Trevor, do you have any other standouts? We're getting a few others coming in. Phil McLaughlin. There's another one that might be in consideration for people. Mike McGlinchey says Phil McLaughlin. Cortland Sutton says Kenny Kirkpatrick for him. So, and I'm not sure if this is Albert. I'm not sure if this is Michelle. Albert, you don't get to cheat by trying to get one in on the comments. Trevor, geez. Trevor, I'm going to go over to you. Trevor, next nomination for you on offense if you have one.
Yeah, I would say maybe Devon Vele, just because he was a later round draft pick, I believe a 7th round draft pick. And what are you supposed to expect from a 7th round draft pick? But there's some times where he's a leading receiver on this football team. So I just think with more time, I'm a little bit higher on this wide receiver room than most are. I think you can tell that with my nominations here. But I think there's something there with Devon Vele. Remember, Tim Patrick's no longer here in Denver anymore, and so obviously the coaches seen something in Vele to where they were comfortable cutting Tim Patrick, whether it was a good move or not. I mean, we don't know right now, but long term, it might be what's best for this football team. So for me, Devon Vele, just because based on expectations, as far as a late draft pick, you don't even know if he's making this roster. So Vele right now, he's starting out there, and at times he is, the leading receiver for this football team. I think there's some upside there with Mr. Devon Vele. He's an older rookie, but I think that there's definitely potential and upside there, and he definitely exceeded my expectations. I wasn't overly in love with the pick when it was made, but I think he's done a good job right up to this point, but still more time to grow.
That's fair, man. That's fair. You took one off my list. I'll be honest. I had to write in Troy Franklin, and I feel super bad about having to write in Troy Franklin. Javonte Williams was on my list. Obviously, my Bo Nix is on the list. We're pulling together quite a list on the offensive side from a team that isn't necessarily out there performing at their greatest, but I think that shows in some of the names that we're kind of pulling out of here with 7th round draft picks and the like. Albert, Mile High Dutchie, man, not cheating. Do you want to go ahead and use your comment that you used already, or do you want to go a different direction? How you doing? Go ahead, sir.
No, I think Alex Palchevsky is doing very well too. When Mike Lindsay got out because of an injury, he picked up where McClinchy left off, and he did very, very well. Even with Max Crosby on his side, yeah, Max Crosby. You cannot stop him all the time. You will need extra help, but I think Palchevsky did a pretty admirable job doing so, and I think Alex Palchevsky does earn credit there as well.
Okay, I'll give you Alex Palczewski. Limited sample, came in, played pretty dang good given his limited sample, and that's going to maybe lead me to my second nomination then. My second nomination will be Lucas Kroll. Lucas Kroll for me has came on in a place that, at least in the last game, and looked decent enough and good enough, in my opinion, to say that maybe he's a standout. We saw it through training camp. We expect to get it to see on the field. He finally gets his chance, and he kind of produces just like we expected. So maybe that's not necessarily a standout when I say just like we expected, but the expectations were pretty dang high from the training camp for a guy who didn't end up seeing the field for quite some time. So to go out there and live up to that, kind of one of those honorable mention type of nominees, in my opinion. I was going to give that the same one to you on Alex Palczewski. He might be an honorable mention, but yeah, I gotta mention Lucas Kroll as well. So Trevor, I'll go back one more time, man. I only have one more left on my list. It was already in the comments. I'll bring it back around. But do you have anybody else on your list on offense? A group that's been struggling if you look at the overall production. Any more for you, or are we ready to move on to a different group at all?
Yeah, I would say. I mean, again, some of these guys, it's hard because some of them are short sample size, so it's hard to kind of, I want to give them the full 7 games if I'm going to put them on this list. But I just think that's fair.
Yeah.
So for me, I mean, if we're going to go the short sample size route, I think a guy like Alex Forsyth, I like what I've seen against the Saints. Especially run blocking, he was a big part of the reason why they were able to run the football. I think that he going forward should be the starting center. I think you need to see what you have in him, and there's something to be said of him and Bo Nix have that connection together. So for me, going short sample size and I'd pick somebody else, it'd be Alex Forsyth. Again, need to see more, but like the limited sample size we've seen of him, I think that there's something there to work with, especially run blocking wise.
I like it. That was a Dutchy favorite, linking up Bo Nix and one Alex Forsyth together. Albert, I don't know if you have any others that we haven't mentioned. Feel free to give me a name if you like. I think if not, we got to get on to disappointments, and we still got the defense as well.
Yeah, I think pretty much the entire O line seems to be doing very well. In the first game, they were a little bit of a hesitant, let's call it that way. But I think they're getting better and better as the game goes on, and I think this O line might be top 10 O line when the season is over.
Yeah, I mean it was iffy. It was questionable, but now I'm starting to question how much of that is maybe the others around them. The running back that isn't necessarily getting to the hole, the quarterback that's not necessarily giving them the best opportunity when the pocket's not that bad to begin with. Maybe we shouldn't be necessarily getting mobile so quickly. Things like that. Yeah, this O-line seems to have found their way in a lot of ways as this season has progressed. So I like that call out. The one that I'm going to give the very last shout out on the positive side at the standout was one that Kenny's kind of put out there as well. He said Courtland Sutton for me. Courtland Sutton for me as well. If you look at the overall numbers, receptions, yards, this is a guy that continues to haul in passes and get tough passes. Continues to, red zone. It seems like we need to get it into Courtland Sutton's arms, hands, some way, somehow, just a little bit more often, because it comes up with spectacular plays. Just get it to a corner. That being said, Courtland Sutton is the biggest constant I think that we have out there. It might not have shown up in New Orleans because they went a different direction, but he is out there and he's working and he's giving the best opportunity for Bo Nix to be successful in a lot of these games. So I think I'd be remiss not to at least mention Courtland Sutton, especially as maybe tough as I was on him. But Before we go off of standouts, I got just one more standout, and that's Morgan Trinkets. Morgan Trinkets is your headquarters for Southwest Jewelry, Southwest Pottery, and Estate Gold at wholesale prices. I don't know when we were going to start saying 34 years, but I know 33 years experience holds true for Morgan Trinkets. Once a nationwide company with 33 years experience, now they're just in your backyard. Northern Colorado, Southern Wyoming. They've been doing fantastic shows. They're just about ready to wrap those amazing shows that they've been doing up for the season. So make sure you head on over to Morgan Trinkets. I'll drop the link to catch their last ones. That way you can go out there, you can see what inventory they have, you can transact with any major credit card, and you can walk away with your purchase that day. But she also transacts on Facebook through PayPal as well. So our good friend Pearl, head over to Morgan Trinkets and find your best piece of Southwest Jewelry, Southwest Pottery, or Estate Gold wholesale prices. Any purchase over $50 shipped absolutely free. Check out Morgan Trinkets. I'm telling you what, a lot of our listeners have. A lot of them are very, very happy. Well, I can say all of them are very, very happy. And a lot of our listeners have already checked them out. Check out Morgan Trinkets yourself. Holidays are right around the corner. They'll sneak up on you, boys. So if you're looking for something special for your special gal, guy, whatever it happens to be, check out Morgan Trinkets today. I'm telling you, great, great stuff. I'm going to go ahead and I'll drop that link in. But I got to get over to the old disappointments, gentlemen. Can't talk about this offense and where they rank without having a couple of disappointments. I'm going to keep the rotation the same. We started off offense this way. We'll start off defense this way. Albert, I'm going to give you first crack at it here, buddy. Albert, if you had a disappointment over here on your offense, on the offensive side, who's it going to be?
For me, it's going to be Sean Payton. He needs to open the playbook and
On
open.
defense?
No, you send
Offense.
a disappointment.
Oh, disappointment on offense. I'm sorry. I'm so confused. I've confused myself. Go right ahead. I'm sorry.
To me, Sean Payton
Right out, buddy. I'm sorry. Go
open
ahead.
it more and give Bo Nix more opportunities. And I think we will get even more wins. We could have gotten a 5-2 if the playbook had been opened a little bit more. And I think that's part of it.
Very good, man. Sorry, I'm trying to work a lot of things in the background, so I got a little bit distracted there, buddy. And I didn't mean to cut you off. I had myself all distracted. So
Yep.
I get that, man. Disappointments on offense. Sometimes you got to call out the coach. Sometimes the coach can get in the way of the players. It's sometimes it's not the Jims and the Joes. It is the X's and the O's. And Sean Payton is in charge of that. So first nomination for one Albert Mile High Dutchie is the coach himself, Sean Payton. Trevor, I'll switch over to you, man. I'll say I'm going to get some other comments. I see they're starting to flood in as well. But Trevor, disappointment on offense, man. Do you have a guy that's just sticks out in your mind?
Yeah, for me, I think it would be Greg Dulcich. I think that, again, he hasn't seen the field quite a lot, and again, no, he hasn't been targeted a ton, but I just think it's a disappointment where he was drafted at the still the hype was there at the beginning of the season, and he just couldn't or hasn't been able to figure it out. And now Lucas Kroll's getting playing time over him. I think there's something to be said for that. So for me, it's Greg Dulcich, and I'm not sure if we're going to see him back on the field again, but I think from where you drafted him at, what was third round pick, and the injuries continue to pile up for him, and he's just not performing to where the expectations where you wanted him to be when you drafted him. So Greg Dulcich for me would be the guy that's been the most disappointing up to this point.
You're not alone. Kenny Kirkpatrick of the amazing K&K Sports Show saying easiest question of the week. Greg Dulcich for him, and Michael Rianquillo is ringing that bell as well, coming in saying one Mr. Greg Dulcich. I see your finger there, Dutchie. You have a thought on this as well?
Yeah, Greg Dulcich is not one that Sean Payton drafted, and if you don't open up the playbook where you can put Greg Dulcich in, I think that's where the part of the problem is too. And I think Greg Dulcich can be much, much better if he is handled properly, and that is not what is happening.
Yeah, he's also capable. He's also, I shouldn't say capable. He's responsible for almost 50% of our drops on offense. I think we have 7 drops on offense, and Greg Dulcich has 3 of those drops, all within the same game. And so you team that up with some of the blocking ability that he put out there on the field, and I have to agree with a lot of these guys. He just becomes he's becoming more of a liability than an asset every time I see him on the field. And when that happens, I think that you need to start looking at different options. I loved Greg Dulcich. I was all about Greg Dulcich. I think that he had the opportunity with good health to be one of the better tight ends here in the league. But he had bad health at UCLA, and he continued when he got to the NFL with the Denver Broncos. And that has just set him back so far that he's not out there and he's not able to put out the best performance like some of these other players are able to do when they come in, they're healthy. I was just trying to look at some stats off to the side because I wanted to write more down, but I'll go ahead and I'll go over to Trevor first. Trevor, or no, I got your disappointment, didn't I? Yeah, we were just talking about Greg Dulcich. It threw me off because we went back over to Albert Mile High Dutchie, and then I was like, wait a second, my notes say I have 2 already. That's right. Okay, well, for me, Marvin Mims has got to make this list when it comes to offensive production, guys. Right now, the stat that I was trying to look up, and I believe I'm correct on, Troy Franklin is outperforming one Marvin Mims as far as overall yardage on this roster. We're talking about a guy that Trevor was just saying was going to be redshirted this first year. You know, it's kind of it's beyond disappointing what we're starting to see from Marvin Mims. So as of right now, and I think there was like a few times I even mentioned it in the intros leading up to and the advertisements thus far, Marvin Mims is a disappointment for me on the offense. He's not out there being a guy that can be relied upon for Bo Nix. When we start talking about Devon Vele and Lucas Kroll and Cortland Sutton, heck, even Javonte Williams is out there probably putting up as many, if not more, receiving yards than one Marvin Mims. So Marvin Mims has been a kind of a disappointment as we're still waiting for him to turn that page and turn it on for me. So that's my nomination. I'm going to continue to go back around the horn. Albert, I know that you were just talking about one Greg Dulcich, but you get another nomination if you like. Do you have any more disappointments on offense, sir?
No, not really.
Fair enough. He's liking what he's seeing from this offense. Trevor, I'll bring it over to you. I know I got one for sure.
Yeah, no, for me, I just think it'd be if I had to kind of nominate maybe not just one player, the whole room, the running back room. Honestly, the inconsistency in the running back room, I think, is been a problem, and I don't think it's just one guy. I mean, Javonte, we've seen out of all the running backs, we've seen him kind of be the guy that steps up from here and there, but it's not consistent enough to where it needs to be. But to me, the running back room hasn't really helped out Bo Nix throughout the season. That's why Bo Nix says, leads this team in yards at times. And so you don't want to see your quarterback be the one that always leads this team in rushing yards, unless you're Lamar Jackson, of course. But I don't think Bo Nix is Lamar Jackson. So I think it's fair to criticize this running back room from where they're at, the inconsistency that's kind of been there. Again, Javonte Williams, when he's on, he gives his team the best chance of having a 3-down back, just what he can do in the passing game, pass blocking, and what he can do in the running game when he sees the holes and when they're there. But then the running back room definitely is been a disappointment for me because we wanted to see Javonte Williams from 2 years ago. It's kind of been inconsistent. Jaleel McLaughlin too, wanted to see him improve in pass blocking and just haven't seen it up to this point. And then Estimate, of course, with the fumbles. So I think that they could definitely do better, and hopefully as the season goes on, they will do better.
Yeah, I got to get caught up on these comments. All of a sudden, you guys started talking about all these players we might be disappointed in. I got distracted. So I got to say to our good friend Karen over on YouTube, Karen Haynes coming in and saying, good evening all, go Broncos no matter what. Love that. Very beginning of the year, I said we got to have some belief, some passion. I think that'll take this Broncos team very far. I think we've seen that in these home games, especially, man, rocking those retro 77s, man. That was something else, man. I think that was one heck of a game, man. So go Broncos no matter what. Also, kind of in agreement with Albert Mile High Dutchy here, saying the offensive line just seems to be doing things now. Yeah, they're starting to come together, and that was a nomination on standouts from Albert. This offensive line is starting to gel. It's starting to come together. Mike McGlinchey coming back, looking pretty good. Roy Osborne's coming in, saying I was thinking Palcho before he got hurt. That was a nomination that we had over there on the great side of things. Kenny Kirkpatrick saying way to go. Keith, my boy Kroll. He says I didn't want to jinx him. Also just weighing in saying Sutton with those tough passes. Very well said, Keith. Well, thank you, buddy. I appreciate it. Our good friend Paul is coming in. He's saying, what's up? I've been listening on my work phone, but couldn't comment. It's been rough. I liked and subscribed though. Well, Paul, appreciate that so very much, man. You know, those work platforms, sometimes they're a little restrictive. So I understand if you can't be necessarily commenting on your work phone, but appreciate you listening in, being a part of the discussion. Rick is coming in and saying, hey, good evening, Jennifer. Is Rick from Chicago. How you guys doing? What a game this weekend. It just passed by. A lot of injuries and a couple of teams. It's sad to hear this. Yeah, man. Injuries have been piling up for teams, including the Denver Broncos. We've been nicked up as well. It's not quite Lauren Landau years, but it's not last year either. So, you know, it's nice to have a Mike McGlinchey come back and look good and look healthy and not come back look like he's you know, dragging his right leg along or anything like that. So, but that being said, we've had our fair share. You know, I saw that Michael was a little bit happier with Cody Barton over an Alex Singleton. I don't know if I'm ready to go there yet, but at the same time, that's another big injury that we're dealing with. So, I got a feeling there's going to be some coaches on the hot seat by the end of the season or before that. And Rick, yeah, I think those hot seats are going to be coming up pretty quickly. I'm in agreement with a guy, and not to get off topic, but yeah, I'm in agreement with a guy that I think teams are going to be a little bit quicker to try to get in front of a Bill Belichick sooner than later, so that we could see a flurry, I should say, of firings possibly if it's time to go that way. So, all right, got to get back over to this disappointing side. I haven't nominated. Oh, I nominated once, so I'm gonna go again. It's my turn. I'm gonna go right over. I played this on both sides, gentlemen. I'm gonna go ahead. I'm gonna say Bo Nix. I know. I put him over there on the standouts as well, but for all the reasons I just kind of said that, hey, maybe this, maybe that. Bo Nix is not necessarily looking like the best quarterback out there at times. He's not on platform. He's not on time. He's throwing short. He's throwing long. He's throwing out of bounds. He's missing open guys. There's a lot to be improved upon from one Mr. Bo Nix. In some regards, we're very lucky. We're going to be talking about defense. We'll have to get there quickly, gentlemen, about how lucky he is to have this defense getting him the ball and getting him turnovers and putting touchdowns on the board. There's Bo Nix has had his struggles, and he's not a Jaden Daniels. You know, he's not a CJ Stroud from last year. He's got work to do. And, you know, dang it, you kind of hoped at the very beginning of the season, in the cockles of your heart, that, you know, maybe he would be that guy. Maybe he would be the CJ Stroud. Maybe he would be what Jaden Daniels is doing up for the Washington Commanders. Not quite there yet. There's nothing we're not throwing anything out. We're not saying that we're disappointed, or at least I'm not, in one Bo Nix. I'm just saying, you know, it would have been nice. Would have been fantastic if he would have came in here and he would have been a little bit more of a complete product, looking a little bit more confident in what he's doing out there every single game. Paul, Bo is a damn rookie. I know, Paul. I get it, man. I had him on my standouts as well because I really think there's way too many rookie quarterbacks that just absolutely fail. And he's not that guy. He is not that guy. But I would like to see just a little bit more. We've only 7 games in. We still got another 10 games to go. So there's plenty of time for him to get more in touch with what he needs to be doing within this awesome. He is him, as the kids say. Yes, he is him. He is him. I get it, man. And lastly, I'll just say, Karen's coming in and saying, I think we knew there'd be some work with a rookie. He is a rookie. None of these rookie QBs are a known factor yet. Bo knows how to play football. I agree. Everything is there as far as the basis. That's why I had it on the standouts, man. I'm catching some heat. Feel like I'm James Marilat over here all of a sudden. Trevor, save me. Dutchie, save me. Somebody.
No. What I was going to say is, Bo Nix is not my most disappointing because there's some things he does well, as well. He gets rid of the ball quickly. He avoids sacks. I mean, I think if you're going to give praise to this offensive line and say, well, they don't give up a lot of sacks, only 9 sacks this season. Well, I think that Bo Nix deserves some credit for that. He's very mobile. We know that. I think he's a little bit more athletic than some may think. I think that he's kind of right on par if you watched him in college. But I think that most improved would be for Bo Nix. That he'd be in that category. I'm not ready to say most disappointing quite yet because he is a rookie and I think he needs time. But I think most improved. I think that definitely he's in that category because he is the starting quarterback of this football team, and you want your rest of your offense to improve. Bo Nix has to be, he has to be better. But there's definitely some things to like about Bo as well. So I'm not even going to put him in that disappointing category quite yet. Need to see more of him. Most improved, absolutely though, because he's got to be better. He's a starting quarterback of this football team. But yeah, not quite most disappointment yet.
Okay. Whew. Jody's coming in here saying, hey, he'll get his footwork cleaned up. Kenny, I don't even know if I want to put your comment up here. He says he's with me, and I don't want you to catch this heat. But Roy's saying I'm not even close to James Marilat, so I'm okay. So, Albert, unless you want to, do we want to rattle off any quick names as far as disappointments on offense? Maybe we don't talk about them because we're right up against it, and I'd like to get a few things in, maybe go a little overtime on defense in order to get defense. But any other names on offense there, Albert? Nothing for you. Okay. Trevor, any other names for you? He doesn't want the heat either.
No, I'm go ahead.
I'm not afraid of the heat.
Oh, good.
It's
scary.
No, I think that, but I think, real quickly, Keith, I think that, because I know we have to move on, but I think that praise Bo Nix when he deserves to be praised, and then also criticize him when there's deserves to be criticism. And so, I think that you're kind of right on track. I think there's some things to definitely love, and there's some things that he needs to work on. His footwork needs to be worked on. We said that in the preseason. That's not a bad thing, though. If Bo Nix needs to work on his footwork, and and some of these other issues he has, I think it's definitely fixable. And I think just more time within the offense and Sean Payton hopefully making things a little bit easier for him, then I think he can get there. It's just going to be one of those things where you have to give him time. You already invested a first round draft pick into him. Let him grow with these receivers in this offense and Sean Payton. So, it's definitely time, with Bo Nix, and I would love to see where he's at the end of the season, where we can get a better and bigger sample size of him.
Oh yeah. Yeah, absolutely. This is way too early information that we're making judgments on, but figured it'd be a good little segment. It's got me in some trouble. But Trevor, I'll flip it right back to you. Defensive disappointments. I'll just start off on that side. There shouldn't be a whole lot of them. I know I had a hard time coming up with a bunch of them. Give me your nomination. We'll go from there, buddy.
Yeah, so for me, it's going to be Mr. PJ Locke. I think I know that there's not a lot of disappointments defensively. I certainly like what the other safety has done, Mr. Brandon Jones. But I think with PJ Locke, I think he struggled in coverage at times. The passer rating allowed when targeted, he has 132. That's his passing rating when targeted. That's pretty high on this football team, and just in general. So 37 combined tackles, 3 missed tackles, I think is fine. But the completion percentage is 78%. He has allowed 18 completions against him. He's been targeted 23 times. So for me, PJ Locke, I just think that there's something that can still be improved upon there. It's a little disappointing, but I think if you want to improve the safety room going forward, maybe that's a situation where you look at and say, well, maybe PJ is more of a rotational safety, not necessarily a starter. Remember that Brock Bowers throw when they Minshew threw that pass over PJ Locke, he jumped and missed it. I think Locke, there's something to be said to him in coverage. So definitely think he's good against the run, but in coverage, I think he can be better. So for me, PJ Locke, a little bit of a disappointment this year. Maybe something Denver looks to improve upon going forward within the safety room.
Phil saying Locke will improve. Michael Ronquillo, even though that Damari Mathis spent some time on IR, he's not impressed with one Damari Mathis. Paul's saying my disappointment on defense is your last comment on Bo. Thanks, Paul. Appreciate that. Albert, do you have any disappointments on the defensive side of the ball?
Yeah, and one that you don't expect. PS2. How dare you to get hurt and be on the sideline for 2 weeks? How dare he? One play, he gets out of the field, has a minor headache, and has 2 weeks off. How dare he? PS2.
PS2 for one, Albert Mile High Dutchy. Bringing a little bit of humor, but also maybe bringing a little bit of levity and truthfulness. A guy that's had a few concussions of his own. So maybe he's thinking, geez, come on. It's just a little headache. Get back out there, man. It's all right. You can do it. You know what month it is now. Come on. All right. I got to say hello to a few others. Adam and Kayla coming in saying we will make the playoff this year, and I love that. I love the sounds of that. That's a go Broncos if I ever heard one. There was a few more that I wanted to, Rodney's coming in saying good evening guys, hope our run game continues to improve in week 8 matchup. Go Bo and go Broncos. We'll be talking a lot more about that Carolina game this Friday, 7:30 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. That's going to be our pregame warm up. And my disappointment comes in right here with one Michael Ronquillo. This will be my one and only nomination. I'll go with one Mr. Baron Browning. Baron Browning, when you start looking at what Nick Benito is doing out there, what Jonathan Cooper is doing out there, Baron Browning was supposed to be that guy. He was supposed to be that, third guy in the rotation, showed a little bit of spark maybe early in the season, and then fell like a rock. This guy is not out there. He's not producing as a pass rusher, and he's not out there necessarily producing as a edge setter either when he's taken his turn in the rotation. So I'll agree with one Michael Ronquillo, and that'll be my nomination. Michelle's finally here. Either that or it's Albert still commenting. And okay, very good. I was thinking that he finally got tuned into the podcast. He's ready to rock and roll. I thought we weren't supposed to laugh at injuries. I don't know if there was anybody laughing at injuries here. Were we laughing at injuries? PS2 on injuries. I gotcha. Absolutely. I you know what? There's something to be said about that, Karen. It was all in good jest, but we certainly are 100% hoping the very best for PS2. Concussions, as we've seen, I mean, right now, Tua is deciding to come back despite a lot of people's warnings, maybe, or hopes or wishes, or thoughts about what should be done. So, Karen, thank you for bringing us back. But I know you're saying laugh out loud, but there's something to be said that we should at least mention that, hey, we want PS2 to be doing all the best, and hope that he is getting a full recovery and yeah. Now I see the laugh out loud and saying I think it was funny, but I just want to bring that levity back. We do wish the very best for PS2. I didn't want it to be taken wrongly, at the same time, because we care about these guys, man. This is our team. You know what I mean? And sometimes we're, easy to shrug these guys off when they go off and they're with a different team, and heaven forbid they head off to a rival of ours, and then we think even less of them at sometimes. But these guys are human beings. You really see that when you get up close and personal at times, and hoping the best. I'm sorry, I went off on a whole different divergent there, guys. Really quick, we got to run through this. Let's get some nominations on defensive outstanding standouts. Mile High Dutchy. We could probably sit here all night long and go left, right, and other. Let's start going through this. What do we say? Maybe 3 tops apiece. So, because like I said, I think this is my biggest list. Albert, what are you thinking on defense? Who's your number 1 nomination?
Jonah Ellis. I think he is doing fantastic for being a rookie, and I think he's only going to get better and better. And yeah, I like what he is doing, and the speed and twitchiness that he has. It's going to be so much fun to see him grow and grow.
Jonah Ellis is a guy that I don't know if we necessarily saw him in the rotation on the 53 to start this season, and that's a place that he's now caught a hold of. Pretty good nomination there. Trevor, where are you going?
I'm going to go with Zach Allen, and I know that some it might not be a surprise, but with Zach Allen, I mean, again, this year, I mean, I don't think we expected him to be this good. I mean, he's dominating. He's the additions of John Franklin Myers, Malcolm Roach, and have DJ Jones in there, along with Jonathan Cooper coming out and doing his thing. Nick Benito as well. I think that he's really just got more help, and you see these games, and who's getting the double team the most? Zach Allen. So Zach Allen for me, because last year he had 27 pressures, 5 sacks, and 60 combined tackles. This year he already has 23 pressures, 32 combined tackles, and 4 sacks. So he's well on his way to being a Pro Bowler, in my opinion. Not surprised that he couldn't do it, but the surprise of him being this good this quickly. For me, Mr. Zach Allen is on this list, and nothing but praise for him. One of the better Bronco signings over the last couple of years. What an upgrade he was over Mr. Dermot Jones.
Yeah, I'm going to take the easy fruit on the tree here as well, man. I'm going with Nick Benito, and name that's been mentioned by a couple, whether it be our good friend Rodney, whether it be Michael Ronquillo. Nick Benito's out there playing like the edge rusher we need him to be, on the verge of becoming a Batman. It's something we talked about left, right, and otherwise heading into this season, man. He's on the verge, man. He keeps up this pace, man. We could be talking Batman status. He could be donning those cape and those ears, riding around in one bad car. That being said, Nick Benito, keep it up, brother. Like what you're doing out there. Few off the board. Mile High Dutchy, as we're starting to wrap it up, man. Any more nominations on the defensive side before we get out of here? Like I said, we got 3. You got 2 more if you need them.
So I think PS2, of course, deserves all the nominations, but on the opposite, Riley Moss, I think he is doing an excellent job being the counterpart for PS2. I think when both of those 2 players are on the field, they don't get thrown on that much, and it's going to get less and less because they are securing that secondary, and it's amazing to see him grow.
Yeah. One Riley Moss, man. There was a lot of questions. Didn't get the playing time last year. Everyone was hoping that he was able to maybe step into these booths, man. He stepped in, and he's been running from the get, man. Riley Moss looking fantastic. Great nomination, Dutchy. Trevor, I haven't disagreed with one yet. You got one for me?
Yeah, Jonathan Cooper for me would be the guy that I think that has been on this list. I don't think it's a huge surprise for me. I mean, depending on what you rate these edge rushers, I think that it's surprising maybe to some where you thought that Baron Browning would have kind of been this guy, this kind of edge rusher that Denver needs to pay, because both Cooper and Browning are 2 guys that are coming up on contract extensions. I think Jonathan Cooper has been the guy that stood out the most. He's in there that's the most. He's the one that's against the run and pass, I think he's a better all-around complete edge rusher for this football team. I think Nick Benito is definitely impressive, but still struggles against the running game a little bit. Jonah Ellis, same thing. So if you talk about all-around best edge rusher for this football team, I think Jonathan Cooper is definitely one of those guys that stands out to me defensively for this football team. And I guess you can maybe mention Baron Browning is on that disappointing list because unfortunately he's not been able to stay healthy enough for this football team.
Yeah, he was my nomination on the disappointment, that Baron Browning. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm taking that easy fruit again. I'm not just in here reading all the comments, but Rodney Garcia is going to agree with me, and Michael Ronquillo is going to agree with me. Michael Ronquillo and I have been right on cue with a couple of these. I'm going ahead and Malcolm Roach, man. Malcolm Roach was a guy that, has been that man, has came in and been that run stuffer, has been in there and been that meat in the middle of the line when we need him to be. And on top of it, he can get a little bit of pressure on as well. One of my my other, I guess, maybe disappointments that I had in the wings was a DJ Jones, because Malcolm Roach has become everything that DJ Jones I wanted to be. Malcolm Roach, congratulations. You're getting my nomination. You're getting a few nominations from the posse as well. Albert, third time around, man. Do you have any more nominations for defensive ones?
Yeah, you already mentioned him, John Franklin Myers. The entire D-line. The entire D-line. As a group together. I think they are maybe one of the best D-lines in the league right now. And you have seen what they did to the Jets. Aaron Rodgers, some of the best offensive we have seen. I would like to see them against the Kansas City Chiefs, because I think Patrick Mahomes is going to be running quite some time because of this D-line.
Yeah, John Franklin Myers has came in over from the Jets. Their cast-offs are number one guys. They've been looking good out there. Really liked him early in the season. Seemed like he was just, man, he was a man on fire to right out of the gates, right out of the blocks. Be excited to see what he has through the rest of the season. Trevor, third nomination.
Brendan Jones for me. The passer rating allowed, he's 65.5 for him. 70% completion percentage against him, 49 combined tackles. I think Brendan Jones, when healthy, he's been very good for this defense this year. And I think that the biggest thing going forward with him is health. Can he stay healthy? Can he stay healthy for a full season? And I think that he's one of those guys that I was not overly high on when the Broncos first signed him, but I think that when healthy, he can be a guy that can get picks, interceptions for you, and be a guy that can be very helpful in this defense, and it definitely deserves some praise for how well he's played so far. Again, need to see more from him, but up to this point, he's played really well for a guy that was a rotational safety last year in Miami. So I love the pickup of Brandon Jones up to this point. He's definitely exceeded my expectations, and I think that he deserves some praise here.
Very good, man. All right, third and final nomination for me. I know this is a name that Trevor might not agree with. I know that he hasn't been as hot on this name, but given the expectations coming into the season, I still think that Mr. Cody Barton is a level above where we expected. And I don't think you just need to look at this last game where he was all over the field, making tackles, interceptions, scoring touchdowns, you name it. I think that this has been a thing that we've been able to see even when he was right alongside Alex Singleton. I think that he was a big helper in the way that he gets his defense prepared. I know that no defensive linebacker is almost perfect and able to get inside linebacker in order to do everything that you ask him to do. In today's NFL, this guy's got to be able to cover sometimes that speedy slot receiver to be able to bring the hammer down on some of the biggest running backs in the league. I think Cody Barton is exceeding my expectations. You guys checked off a lot of the names on my list, so you didn't leave me with a whole lot other than maybe my nominations, and that's about where I was at with a Cody Barton. Not high on my list, but I think Cody Barton deserves a little recognition. And go ahead, buddy.
No, how about I would give Justin Strnad probably a little bit of praise as well in this, because I think that my thing with Cody Barton is the only thing that I think that he struggles at is in pass coverage. I think he's very good with what he does, and he fills that Alex Singleton role really well when both of them can be great run stuffers and can definitely rack up in the tackles and stuff like that, and can attack the roles and in the holes and keep those running backs from gaining extra yards. I think that's what Cody Barton does, but pass coverage, that's where I think he struggles at. Alex Singleton's kind of in that category as well, but Mr. Justin Strnad, I think has definitely been very impressive up to this point. A guy that was just mainly special teams, gets an opportunity to come back to Denver, wanted that opportunity to play inside linebacker. He's getting that, and I think he's been very impressive up to this point as well, in both run stopping and in pass coverage.
Fair enough. Like I said, he was actually on my nomination. PJ Locke was too, though, so I know that we're not going to agree there. But I got to agree to get over to the comments and start wrapping this show up. We're way past our time, and we haven't done that in quite a while. But I want to get to a few more comments. Karen, coming out with great comments like this. I think this is fantastic when you start talking about a lot of these different players on defense. It says when you really don't know the name on the back of the shirt and you already know they play well, they quietly get the work done. And that's something that we've seen from a lot of different players, especially on the defensive side. Sometimes in the offensive line, I give that as well. Quietly getting the work done at times, and you kind of forget about them. But they're going out there, and they've gotten us to a 4-3 record. They've gotten us to second in the AFC West, and they've got us in contention for the playoffs. A lot of these guys that we don't really know their names, but we know they're getting it done. So Strnad, too, has been a big contributor, says Rodney. Just getting a few more of these comments. We lucky. Great show, people. We appreciate it. This is another big one.
Keith didn't just end up his computer. It looks like they ended up dying or something. But yeah, I think Michael, I think I agree with with the special teams. It definitely deserves praise too. There's Keith. Sorry, Keith.
Double swipe got me. Oh, I was trying to scroll and I swiped. So yeah, special teams. Phil mentioned it. He was dropping stars a little bit earlier. Michael's mentioned it. We need to talk about those special teams guys. As Phil says, our unsung heroes, ranked top 5 in many areas. My special teams nomination, one Riley Moss, guys. Can we talk about how this guy has been just absolutely nailing it inside the 5-yard line? How many times we've seen that, pinned them deep. Riley Moss.
Riley Dixon.
Oh, my goodness. Oh, my goodness. Long podcast. We went long, and that's showing now. Riley Dixon, thanks you for changing me up there. Riley Dixon and what he's done and being able to pin him in deep, like I said. We had a competition at punter to start off the season, guys, if you remember right. And now what Riley Dixon is doing, I can't imagine a better punter on this team. So yes, a big shout out. Thanks for Phil for joining us and dropping stars and mentioning the special teams as well. Now that I'm finally back and I'm not double finger swiping, we got to get out of here, gentlemen. We went past. We started late. Albert, I'll let you start us off, man. I know that you have a fantastic way of doing it, one that our posse loves and me as well. Let's get us out of here, bud.
Yeah, I still want to give a comment on our Mr. Bodini, Bonix.
Yes.
He is doing better, much better than some of the veterans that we have in the game. For example, let's talk about Aaron Rodgers. He's doing better than Aaron Rodgers, in my opinion, and he is a rookie. So I want to give him that credit. But I also want to give our posse big credit for the show that we have, because as always, the posse was on fire, and we had some really good talking points about it. And for me, I saw a new name in here, and I will talk about it in a second. But I want to thank Patrick, Scott, Ernie, Roy, Michael, Clayton, Kenny. That's not even half of the list. Graham, Jeremy, Phil, Adam and Kayla, Matt, Pearl, and Karen. I think this is the second time I see you on the podcast as well. Paul, Rick, Jody, Michelle, and Rodney Garcia for me is a new name. Thank you, guys. It is so much fun to have you in the posse and make our lives so much more interesting. And any topics that we have all the time in our agendas, because of you, it just gets blown out of the water. We only need one topic to start the game, or to start the show, and the rest flows. Thank you.
It's amazing, man. I could do hours and hours and hours with the posse, the way they come in, and then of course my amazing co-hosts Albert Mile High Dutchy, Trevor the Rocket Man Salzman, Karen's being super lovely coming in here and reminding me, saying reminding all of you, I guess, don't be that person who hasn't hit the like button yet. Appreciate it, Karen. Like, share, subscribe. We love all that. We love Trevor as well. Trevor, any closing thoughts here, sir?
No, I mean, again, great show. I mean, I love giving praise to this football team when you get a chance to, and also, just kind of being critical of them as well, and we realize that these guys, are football players, but, obviously, my heart goes out to Andy Dalton and his family for, them being in that car accident. We hope that everything is well. We hope to see him out there Sunday. I think it'll affect that game if he's not, with him not being able to be out there for that offense. So for Bryce Young being out there. So just really want to thank everybody, for just being amazing and supporting us. I think these guys kind of just said it all. I mean, just the support that we're continuing to get, is awesome, and we really appreciate you guys. And we definitely hope to reward you down the line. And you guys just reward us for like, sharing, subscribing, because we love that, and we love you coming in and being respectful and commenting and giving your thoughts as well. So really appreciate everybody that came in as always, and hope everybody has a great rest of their week. And as always, go Broncos.
Paul's calling it right, saying Trevor's that dude is talented. Rocket Man correcting all the misinformation. Yeah, thank you, Rocket Man. Whether I'm in here saying Riley Moss is punting or whatever it happens to be, Karen's closing us out in a great way, saying thanks for tonight. Much appreciated. I think Bo Nix and the Broncos will keep getting better. I truly think things are looking up, even if we aren't there yet. It's fun to watch. Yeah, it's fun to watch. It's fun to be part of this ride with all of you guys, man. We gallop in here every Tuesday, every Friday, 7:30 p.m. Mountain Standard Time, always breaking down what's going on with your Denver Broncos, and then live right after the game, unless it's a Thursday night game. But Sunday games we're all good on. Sunday games, check us out. We go live right after the game, man. We're getting those reactions. Should be a good one. We're going to get all prepped and ready this Friday for the Carolina Panthers, and then be talking after that as well. Good night to you as well, Karen. Good night to everybody out there. We only do this one way only over here at the Denver Bronco Roundup. It's the way we ride out of here. Make sure you keep those boots in the stirrups, your guns in the holsters, and as always, keep the Broncos, the Denver Broncos, right there in your heart. Good evening. Have a good night, everybody. We're out of here.